happened quite a few times this week.
Yeah, it's been quite a big day. It's been quite a big start to the year, actually. So does it bode well for further upside? I think we're all asking those questions. We're all debating the fact of, where to from here. Things are certainly very tentative looking, but the start of the year, I think, is a lot better than most of us expected. We kind of went into the year feeling there's still doom and gloom in Europe, but markets seem to be shrugging it off very, very well. But I think you always have this little hesitant voice in the back of your mind saying this could all be over next week as more information comes out of Europe.
But the truth is, from a price earnings perspective,
yes,
the local bourse, I mean, we're sitting at around 13, 14, so looking far better than what we were when we hit these levels or so in 2008.
I think if we just look at PE ratios in general, and we just use that as a determination of if markets are cheap and expensive, I think worldwide stocks are generally cheap. But they're cheap for a reason. I would say there's just been so much spectacular bad news out there at the moment that investors are incredibly hesitant to enter the market. However, what we're probably seeing now is, world markets shrugging off bad news, markets going up, and those investors that are sitting in piles and piles of cash, because don't get me wrong here, there's a lot of money out there at the moment. They might be getting a little bit concerned about these markets running away from them, and we might see some panic buying actually coming through now. But yeah, big day on the markets. The big news, obviously, Anglo Platinum with those worse than expected results that having a big impact on the platinum sector this morning, as well as having an indirect impact on Anglo American and keeping the markets fairly subdued.
And Anglo American, down around 0.4%, and BHP is up 0.4%.
So that was the main reason. Otherwise, if it wasn't for Amplatz's results, I think the markets would have been probably a bit more positive. Having a look
it's a large number. Full headline earnings per share could be down by as much as 34%. Of course, there's certain items.
Yes, it's once-off charges. Yeah. I think the biggest concern was the stoppages and how that affected the actual volume going through, and then of course the bottom line. So for for our perspective, it wasn't really that big once-off charge with that broad-based community development program. That's something that had to happen. That's come and gone now. But any more stoppages is a great concern going forward. And platinum companies have to contend with so many other issues in South Africa. The last thing you want are further stoppages that could be prevented.
SAB Miller is down 1%. We
Yes.
had the company reporting 3%
Also
rise
big
in
news
their
out,
volumes. Fourth quarter of 2011, 3%. Not shooting the lights out.
Not shooting the lights out, but like you said, in line with expectations. It was a tale of two cities, as I say, with SAB. You have the developed world still not looking too good for them. You had volumes downgrades in America as well as in Europe. However, if you have a look at the developing world, Africa and Asia doing tremendously well. African volumes up, I think it was 11%, compared to a decline of 6% in America, for example. So overall, excluding all the new companies that have purchased into, I think volume growth is okay. Prices down from about 295 to 280, and one could argue maybe a little bit of a buy if you want to include it into your portfolio. It's certainly looking interesting in our mind currently.
It's quite an interesting story out today with regards to the founder of Vodacom, Alan
Yes,
Craig. Moving on to Celsey, Vodacom is down 0.8%. We've got MTN up around 0.3%. It's quite fascinating. What is your sense on the story?
Sean, you're going to ask me about this one. I think Celsey has always taken a real bit of a back seat. They've been struggling for quite some time. They've got the new 4G network up. They're not a listed company, so you don't necessarily get a sense of how well or how badly that they are doing, but you do get a sense that they are lagging, along with ATA, Telkom's, a wireless operation. I don't know if Alan's going to change things around there. I'm sure that's what the Celsey board is hoping, but we'll have to wait and see. But I think Vodacom might have shot its bolt at the moment with regards to share price, but MTN, I think, still something to watch.
Yeah. With regards to the banks and financial sector as a whole, yesterday doing relatively well. Today also doing quite well.
Yes, it was the best performing sector today.
Why would you say that we're seeing
I think there's some value hunting there at the moment. I think as soon as you're starting to see, better than expected economic data, worldwide, you generally get a sense of bargain hunters out there. And there's no argument that banking stocks are probably undervalued. But the question to ask is, are they showing really good value now, and are we going to see a nice big uptick? So we've seen Absa and Standard Bank, Nedbank, First Rand, African Bank doing pretty well today, all up, that having a positive influence on markets. But I think it's more a sense of potential opportunity there for capital growth, and really any real sense that everything's over now, we can go ahead and buy banks. And
of course, we had the repo rates unchanged today at 5.5%.
It was to be expected, so I don't think that has put any influence on the current move at the moment.
Are you expecting positive earnings for the banks? To continue the momentum that we saw towards the end of last year? Investec, of course, perhaps slightly underperforming.
Investec maybe not because of it being an investment bank, but if we're looking at the major retail banks, I would say I wouldn't say the worst is yet to come. I would say the worst is behind them. I think they will probably be positive to flat earnings, going forward. But I don't see any spectacular shooting the lights out at the moment.
With regards to your stock picks into
My stock
2012,
picks.
yes.
I was asked this in December 2012, and my stock pick was Exara, and I'm really happy. It's looking very good.
Let's see,
187.
Exara is up over 2% today,
Yeah.
sitting at 187 Rand.
So if you listen to me, we'd be making money now.
At
So
what level was it at?
I think it was 168 Rand, so I'm
Okay.
really chuffed about that.
Price target on Exara?
Oh, goodness. What I've read, and this is not conjecture, I mean, this is just what the analysts are pointing to. We're looking at a plus 200, so about 200 to 210 target price, which is still a very nice return if you can get that this year. I think generally speaking, reading research and having a look at different firm strategies, it seems that resources, again, is on everyone's fingertips at the moment with regards to it being an undervalued sector, and we're starting to see some punters coming in
I
there.
think you were also talking on Sasol last year, and look
Yes,
at it now.
Sasol
Just
for-
under 410 Rand.
Yeah, that's spectacular. Maybe Sasol in the short term right now looking a tad expensive. But again, it's really been helped by the oil price and, of course, a weaker Rand on average. I know the Rand strengthened, but on average compared to last year, the Rand is weaker, which certainly helps Sasol's share price.
Fantastic.